of Sci 515 Human Sexuality. So I just wanted to come on here and introduce myself. If you haven't read the announcement, my name is Stephanie Wanamaker. I am your professor for this course. This course is a fully online program. I know there's a little bit of confusion on the syllabus. It says hybrid course. However, this course is fully online. This syllabus is an older model. And it hasn't been updated, and I didn't update it. So, just for those that have been wondering whether this is a hybrid course or online course, it is definitely online. But I just wanted to come on here and provide just an overview of the syllabus and the weekly activities, and jump in a little bit in this week's reading. So I'm gonna go ahead. Of course, my name's Stephanie. You can call me Professor Wanamaker. You can call me Stephanie. You can call me whatever you would like. So I'm gonna go review your syllabus and of course, your textbooks and things like that. I know I have here my email address, but I believe this is an incorrect email address. So it should be Wanamake. The ER is missing from my email address. So if you email me on this one, it might not come through. So go ahead and try it's SWANAMAK@calbaptist.edu, and I can go ahead and change that here today. But these are the required texts that you guys will need for this course. It'll be the Crooks Our Sexuality 13th edition, as well as this is hard to say, but I'm just might butcher it, Benilk textbook into the Principles and Practice of Sex Therapy, as well as the APA Association Diagnostic and Sexual or Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And you'll need that, of course, for APA things in regards to this course. So this overviews outline the objectives of the course. So here it says, of course, weekly participation. That will be replaced by your discussion boards. Considering this is a online course, we will not have a weekly meeting. So of course, you'll have 8 discussion boards totaling 25 points each. And most of those points are giving for having your initial, say, your main discussion board post. So, and it has to be, I believe, 300 more words or more. I may be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Or 250 words or more. And also responding to 2 of your other classmates. And that, of course, is due every Sunday by midnight. You'll also have 4 quizzes totaling 75 points each. You will have a personal values paper, a sex therapy paper, as well as 2 projects. So you'll have a sex therapy presentation, and I'll talk a little bit more about these presentations and these projects once we dig a little deeper within the course. I know a couple of you had questions about the presentation on how that format would be, considering we're not going to be a hybrid course. But you guys can do this as a YouTube video presentation. It could be a PowerPoint presentation. It can be any visual presentation that you would like to contribute to the course. That choice is totally up to you, but I just wanted to give you guys that background information. And like I said, we'll talk about this more once this project comes up. And also you'll have of course, capstone project, which is a very important project within the course. You have to pass this, I believe, at the graduate level at 80% or more. So if you make anything less than 80%, no matter what you made throughout the course, you will not pass this class. So this project is very, very important. So just to remind you of that. So let's see. Of course, it talks about the evaluation process. It talks about that already. Of course, this outlines the course schedule. So of course, prior to this week, the schedule wanted you to, of course, watch the APA citation video, watch the academic integrity video, and also review the sample APA paper. If you have not done that, please go ahead and do so you have a little bit of idea, background and information on what I'm looking for in terms of APA formatting. I am a bit of a stickler for APA formatting. I will say that ahead of time. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you want me to review your papers before you submit them, I will definitely do that as well. Just shoot me a quick email. We can schedule a voice call, things like that, whatever you would like. We can do that as well. I am definitely here to help you all out. So the next, for this week, of course, you'll need to read the syllabus. That considering should be in week 0, but go ahead and read the syllabus, which I'm going through right now. and read chapters 1, 3, and 4 in the Crooks Bauer book. Also review the PowerPoint lectures, and I'll do a brief little overview of chapter 1 in this lecture, as well as you do your in-class discussion, which is your out-of-class discussion, and your activities for this week. And of course, you'll have a quiz on chapters 3 and 4 this week. And also it talks about starting your capstone project. And this is very important too, because you can incorporate some of the things you learn in chapters 1, 3, and 4 and start beginning your work on the capstone presentation, which is very important for the course, as I had mentioned before. So I'll go ahead and let you guys finish writing or jotting down whatever you have for the upcoming weeks. You can review that on your syllabus if you have not already before. So I'll go ahead and discuss my late policy. I do, of course, everything's due at Sunday on midnight, but I do allow a 2-hour grace period. So if you are going to have an assignment late, I do allow that 2-hour grace period, but anything after 2:05 in the morning will be penalized 25%. But also, like I said before, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you feel you're going to be late on assignment, if you're sick, if you're due to illness, if you have scheduling conflicts, please just reach out to me. I'm very flexible, and I'm willing to work with you all. I know school is stressful, things may come up, but like I said, as long as you keep me informed and updated on what's going on, I will definitely work with you and we can work through a solution. So this talks about academic honesty. So no plagiarism, things like that, and anything of that nature. I believe there's at the beginning of the course, I'll go ahead and jump into that too. There is a quiz type situation you have to answer before you can enter in the module. The student responsibility agreement. I believe this is something you all have to take before you can jump right into your learning modules. So let's go ahead and jump into week 1. And I know I've reviewed what we need to do, but I'm going to go back over that through the module, and then we'll take a look at chapters 1 in your textbook for this week, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So of course you have your readings, chapters 1, 3, and 4. Your discussion board post is kind of an introductory post. It'll be your name, your year you're on the program, your hopes for this class, whether you want to learn something new, whether you want to take something in your future career, things like that. And also talk a little bit about the culture of your family origin around sexuality. Was it discussed? Was it not discussed? I know with many times with my clients that I see that are young kids, they have said quite frequently that they do not talk about sex with their parents. It's not an open discussion. So maybe that was your experience. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe you had a very open discussion about sex with your parents or within your family, things like that. And I know sexuality, and this can be a definitely giggly topic of discussion, but I also think it's important that we do have these discussions and talk about these things. So yeah. So was it treated as normal or pathological? And your current comfort level with discussing sexual topics. So this definitely is a introductory of the course, introductory of yourself, and just your overall thoughts of the course, human sexuality, things like that. So this will be an interesting discussion board post. I can't wait to dive right in and see what you guys have discussed and what your thoughts are, and just getting to know each and every one of you. So I'm really excited about this discussion board. And you'll have a week 1 quiz, of course, and that's over chapters 3 and 4. Lastly, it says here you have a psychoeducational seminar presentation. So this is the capstone project. And that's where in the syllabus it says get started on your capstone. So as it says, students will design a psychoeducational seminar for a lay audience within a church covering much of the material in the course. So it can be, specifically, you have to choose an audience, whether that's the older adults, the youth within the church, or a different community, things like that. And it'll talk a little bit more about that once you dig deeper into this presentation. So now that I have, okay, so let me jump right back in. It says begin your brochure this week. Incorporating material on the identification of male and female anatomy and physiology. And like I said, your chapters will discuss this. So this will be a great opportunity for you to review what exactly you will include in your your presentation at the end of the course through chapters 3 and 4. So with that being said, I know I may be talking a little fast. That may be the Southern girl in me, but if I'm talking too fast, just send me an email and let me know, and I can record lecture videos slower so it can be more legible and understood. So yeah, let me jump right into let's start with, and I'm on a different computer, so I usually have PowerPoint, but this computer that I have does not have Microsoft Office, so it's going to show on these notes, so I do apologize in advance. Next week it'll be on PowerPoint presentation, so it'll be a lot more convenient. So like I said, chapters 1 is on the perspectives of sexuality. And this also will help with your discussion board posts. Like this says, it's 4 components of sexual intelligence. It's understanding yourself. Of course, you have to have a definite understanding of what your view of sexual intelligence is, what you identify as, things like that. Having interpersonal skills, sexual skills, and integrity. Obtaining accurate scientific sexual knowledge, having consideration for other cultural contexts of sexuality. So, of course, increasing sexuality intelligence will allow for responsible decisions and sexual behavior. So as I said before, I do have a treat currently the youth population, young adults, and children when it comes to domestic violence and sexual assault. So this is a huge topic within my therapy, within my support groups, within our agency. So as it says, having those sex discussions with the youth, it helps to, and studies have proven that it helps to prevent children from making those risky decisions. If they have all the evidence, if they have all the information about sex and intercourse and how these things work, they are less likely to engage in sexual activity before they are ready. And ultimately, these things do happen, but if they do have their parents or someone that they are able to talk to, they can make these better decisions about their body and sexual behavior. So I'm gonna skim through this. Some of these things I won't discuss because like I said, you guys will review these whenever you are reading through your textbook. So here's a question for you guys this week. Why is this only showing? Hold on one second. Let me try to re-download this. This is not the right slide. I said 4 slides. But that's because I needed to re-download it. Okay, so jumping right back in, where was I? Okay, so here's a question for you guys. Why do the authors attempt to bring an inclusive approach to sexuality, our sexuality? What are your thoughts? What do you think? And you guys can shoot me an email if you would like. You can include this topic in your discussion board, whatever you think is best. Or you could just sit and think about why this is an approach to our text. And it could be many reasons why. There's so many different versions or many communities, populations, things like that to consider when it comes to sexuality. So that can be a reason as to why they try to address an inclusive approach to this textbook. And also, here's another question. What factors contribute to diversity and similarity of sexual attitudes and behaviors within the United States? These are all great discussion topics and areas of expansion of knowledge and things like that. So the diversity in the United States. When you think of diversity, what do you think comes to mind? Of course, different cultures, different populations, things like that. So of course, when you think of different cultures and populations, there is, I want to say, stereotypes in which people believe when it comes to sexuality, comparison to Middle Eastern culture, Asian culture, things like that. So there's different perspectives and beliefs when it comes to sex in different cultures and populations. So, of course, in Islamic Middle East cultural perspective, their beliefs are based off Muhammad, belief that sex should be enjoyed by both sexes, women viewed inherently more sexual than men, this power contained by veils, segregation, female circumcision. Oppression of women and many sexually related restrictions stem from patriarchal cultural traditions and fundamentalist sects, not from religion and the teaching of the Quran. So, like I said, I am just quoting verbatim for what the text is saying. But of course, I think that there's different components that happen within this cultural perspective when it comes to beliefs about sex and things like that. There's so much more than just what the text states in the textbook. And I definitely encourage you guys to expand that knowledge, because when you are in your field, whether that's counseling, whether that's the psychology field, whether that's accounting, whether that's whatever it may be, business, you're going to need to know the different cultures, a little bit about what their perspectives are and things like that. And even if it's not pertaining to sex, but just different cultures and perspectives when it comes to the work that you're doing. And it talks about China as well. You guys can review over that. I don't want to spend too much time because I know you guys will be reviewing over this when it comes to your quiz for this week. I'm going to go on and jump right into one of the most important topics, I think. So here's a very important topic. So the media and sexuality. And I think that the generation that we are in now has a huge impact on media and sexuality. When you think about it, I say when but when I was younger, back when, I guess the 1990s, if you think about what occurred on TV, what was limited on TV, what we can see and things like that. There wasn't many sex scenes on TV. There wasn't much nudity. There wasn't that much profanity. And I think, and even with social media and how big it is now and how easily accessed pornography and sexual images and things like that are accessed right on our smartphones. It's just amazing to think of how much media has changed our view of sexuality. So another question that the book poses is, how have mass media reflected influenced sexual norms? So what norms are prevalent within media? And things like that. Also, what elements are unique to sexuality on the internet compared to other mass media? So these elements and topics and components, I believe they've all changed and evolved over the years, of course, and social media has evolved. But I also think that our idea and standards of what is appropriate has changed so much over the past 10, 20 years. And I think that'll evolve so much more as the years progress. So, of course, television. News, advice, and educational programs have increased more, I would say more in crime-related, sex-related, things like that. Of course, there's increased access to sexual material, pornography, pornographic images, things like that. You can Google and a whole bunch of images will pop up. Percentages of sexual content have increased. Also too, cable and music videos, and even not just music videos, but music, how much sexual innuendos and things like that have increased. And I know our generation, our parents talk about how vulgar the music is now. However, back in the day, they were singing about sexual things, but it just wasn't as prevalent and noticeable as it is now. And even with video games, how violent and sexual things can be. One of my clients was talking about how on Grand Theft Auto you can just buy a hooker and do these things within the video game. So I definitely think that the change of sexual social norms, as you can say, has changed and evolved so much. And even with advertisement, sex sells, and if you have this specific type of woman in the campaign, how it changes the selling of a product, as well as magazines and things like that with the development of Photoshop and all that stuff. So, and this talks about a little bit what I was talking about, how the sexual taboos. In 1952, the first pregnancy of I Love Lucy Lucy gives birth. So this was the first scene that ever showed someone giving birth. And even back in the older movies, you would never see a married couple in bed together, or even showing a married couple with their night clothes on was very taboo. So now it's completely different. You can definitely see someone in their lingerie or even nude on TV now. So 1972 was the first primetime abortion on Maud. 47-year-old Maud opts to terminate her pregnancy. So this is the first discussion of abortion on television. In 1974, the first graphic rape scene, Born Innocent, by Linda Blair, plays a runaway who is raped in a detention center. So that was the first rape scene on TV. In 1975, the first interracial couple on The Jeffersons, Tom and Helen, raised social issues on the show. And also 1978, the first transgender character, Quark, Gene can switch genders at will. So just thinking of the evolution of how sex is displayed on television just shows you right there how much we've evolved and how much we've grown. So cyberspace and sexuality, 2 billion internet users worldwide. Just think of, I know for a fact that working in the field that I do work in with domestic violence, sexual assault, things like that, and also how big child pornography is and things like that. Human trafficking is huge. So just think about all the human trafficked images and things like that are happening with 2 billion internet users worldwide. That is a lot of people using the World Wide Web. 80% of people obtain health information from the internet, which is not good. Sources of sexual expression are more widely shown with the creation of Skype and things like that, and even those websites to where you can record sexy videos for people and things like that. MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, availability on handheld devices, PDAs, iPads, cell phones, things like that. So yeah, this is the last slide, but I just want to wrap up with saying, of course, the impact of social norms has changed dramatically when you think of sexuality and freedoms and responsibilities that we have today that people did not just have back in the day. I want to say back in the day, but in earlier times, people did not have those luxuries that we have today of having this handheld device with so much access at our fingertips. And there's so many controversies facing human sexuality. How can something as personal as sex be political? But it really can be. And I think that that's a question that you guys can think about and ponder on within the weeks to come. But let me see if there's anything that I want to jump right into and talk about with. No, I don't think. This is just, the anatomy physiology of the male anatomy and the female anatomy. And I don't think there's anything I want to touch on specifically. And you guys are going to have to get used to these photos in the textbook. It's part of the human sexuality process. So with that being said, I definitely want to wrap up this discussion. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out to me, and that's swanamaker@calbaptist.edu. And I will get back to you with any questions in a really timely fashion. But for this week, you have your discussion board post and your quiz. So no major assignments, but just make sure that you are completing the quiz and the discussion board post. And let's see what we have abreast for next week, just so we can have an idea of what is happening. And I don't want to make this video too long. But next week you have this pretty much the same thing. You'll have your lecture, you'll have your quiz, you'll have your discussion board posts, and as well as readings. So within the first couple weeks, it should be quite easy. But like I said, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I can't wait to record you guys next week's video. And I'll talk to you then. Thanks. Have a great week.